Dear friends, welcome to yet another installment of Strategic Power. In this video, we will analyze Israel's possible response to the intense Iranian attack that occurred during the night between the 13th and 14th of April, exploring the scenarios involved, the threats of a military escalation, and the United States' attempts at mediation. Will Israel really directly attack Iran, or will it seek a more cautious strategy? What is the role of the international community in this conflict? Subscribe to our channel and follow this complete analysis on the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. On Thursday, April 11th, it became clear that Iran would attack Israel in retaliation for the Israeli attack in Syria that eliminated the Iranian general in charge of coordinating with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The Israeli government warned that if the attack came from Iranian territory, they would respond directly by attacking Iran. At that time, there were three possible scenarios for Iran's response. One involved a direct attack against an Israeli government official or other important political figure in some government building. Another scenario foresaw indirect attacks through Iran-allied groups in the region, such as Hezbollah or even the Houthis in Yemen. And of course the worst scenario, which was a direct attack by Iran against Israel using drones and missiles launched from Iranian territory. And that is exactly what happened in the early morning hours between the 13th and 14th of April, with over 300 missiles and drones launched by Iran. But thanks to Israeli defenses and collaboration with regional allies, Israel managed to avoid great devastation. Therefore, given that Iran attacked from its own territory, that means Israel will take direct revenge on Iran shortly after yesterday's attacks. The Iranian government issued a statement saying that attack was a response to the Israeli attack in Syria and that the matter had concluded. That is, with more than 300 missiles and drones launched against Israel, Iran claimed that both countries were even. However, the Iranians warned Israel that if the Israelis responded to the attack, Iran would attack again, but this time with much greater force, initiating a cycle of violence with great potential to plunge all of the Middle East into a terrible, large-scale war. Despite this imminent risk, during the night, while the Iranian attack was underway, Israel's war cabinet issued a statement saying it was considering a military response against Iran that would be overwhelming. In other words, yesterday, during Iran's attack, everything indicated that Israel would keep its promise and directly attack Iran. A few hours after the end of the Iranian attack, and with the interception of 99% of the missiles and drones launched against Israel, news began to emerge, suggesting that Prime Minister Netanyahu may have changed his mind about retaliating against Iran after a long phone conversation with US President Joe Biden. The United States played a crucial role in defending Israel against the Iranian attack, with reports indicating that over 30% of the Iranian drones and missiles were shot down by US fighter jets operating in Syria and Jordan. Therefore, when President Biden called, the Israeli Prime Minister likely listened very closely. Obviously, we have no knowledge of the exact content of that conversation, but it is speculated that it may have been something Biden has already publicly expressed on several occasions. His fear of seeing the Middle East engulfed in a large-scale war capable of directly affecting the lives of millions of people in countries like Israel, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Iraq, and Iran, and of having an indirect impact on the lives of billions of people around the world due to rising oil and fuel prices. An Israeli counterattack in retaliation would be extremely devastating for Iran, considering that Israel has more than enough means to do so, such as its Jericho ballistic missiles and its stealthy F-35 fighter jets. However, Iran also has considerable offensive capability, and many analysts agree that last night's attack with 300 missiles and drones represents only a small part of its entire offensive capability. In other words, in an all-out war scenario, Iran would not launch just 300 missiles and drones, but thousands of them, in addition to rockets and artillery fire from Hezbollah in Lebanon against northern Israel, and ballistic and cruise missiles from the Houthis in Yemen against southern Israel. In this scenario, tens of thousands of people in Israel, Iran, Lebanon, and Syria could die or be injured in just the first few hours, and casualties would increase dramatically in a prolonged and devastating war. This war would have the potential to spread worldwide, as it could attract allies from each side, such as the United States on Israel's side and Russia on Iran's side. This terrifying vision, coupled with strong pressure from the United States and the fact that Iran's attack, despite being intense and aimed at causing the deaths of thousands of Israelis, did not result in significant damage or any loss of life, led Israel to at least initially rule out the possibility of a direct military response to Iran. Benny Gantz, former Israeli Prime Minister and current member of the emergency government, announced this Sunday, April 14th, that Israel will form a large regional defensive coalition with the United States and other allied nations to confront the threat from Iran. Sources close to the Israeli War Cabinet stated that Netanyahu still intends to respond to Iran's attack, but not immediately or directly, but rather in a calculated and strategic manner. Israel will continue and reinforce its current strategy of attacking and neutralizing Iranian interests in Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq, without risking an all-out war that, as explained above, would be detrimental to all parties involved. In the face of this complicated situation, it is obvious that a direct Israeli military response to Iran could unleash a devastating regional war, with the potential to affect the whole world. The question is, will Netanyahu have the courage to defy his American ally and risk even greater escalation? Or will pragmatism prevail, leading Israel to opt for a more cautious strategy, deepening its cooperation with the United States and the regional coalition? Share your analysis on this delicate balance in the Middle East in the comments.